Question number 2, Ron Mark.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Immigration and asks, does he stand by his statement that, quote, commitments that are made around sponsorship that haven't been met, end of quote, regarding the review of the parent category immigration rules?
The Honourable Michael Woodhouse.
Yes, in the context in which those comments were made.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Ron Mark.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the Minister, why are newly arrived migrants with New Zealand residency not paying for their parents to live here after they brought them into the country at a cost to New Zealand taxpayers of tens of millions of dollars, as he stated?
Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Michael Woodhouse.
Mr. Speaker, broadly because the sponsorship requirements don't require them to pay for their parents to be here. That's not part of the residence program. But there are a number of sponsorship obligations that anecdotal and older statistical information suggests is not being complied with by the sponsors, and that's why we're going to conduct the review.
No.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Ron Mark.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the Minister, can he explain how Immigration New Zealand will enforce the new 10-year sponsorship period for migrant parents, given that Immigration New Zealand failed to enforce the current 5-year sponsorship for parents?
The Honourable Michael Woodhouse.
Mr. Speaker, I don't necessarily agree with or disagree with, actually, the second part of that question. But I would say that Immigration New Zealand will continue to monitor the sponsorship arrangements as they currently are, regardless of the extension of time on that, which incidentally was a decision made some time ago. And then the review will inform whether or not a better response is required by Immigration New Zealand in the future.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Ron Mark.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the Minister, why didn't he cap the parent category sooner when he knew almost half of the parent migrants coming here had received welfare benefits after 5 years at the expense of the New Zealand taxpayer?
The Honourable Michael Woodhouse.
Well, largely because there was a legacy cohort of applicants that needed to be considered and then processed, and that process was completed at about the middle of this year, which was an opportune time to actually review and make small reductions in the category.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Ron Mark.
Excuse me. To the Minister, why is the Minister not insisting when migrants leave New Zealand to live elsewhere that they take their parents with them rather than abandoning them to the care of the New Zealand taxpayer?
Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Michael Woodhouse.
Well, because that would be neither necessary or appropriate, and I wouldn't be surprised if, in fact, Kiwis, New Zealand-born New Zealand citizens, were leaving New Zealand in greater numbers than non-New Zealand-born New Zealand residents were, and I don't expect them to take their parents with them either.
Dig a hole. Supplementary. Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Ron Mark.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the Minister, why did the government disregard the concerns of New Zealand taxpayers and vote against New Zealand First's affordable healthcare bill last year, which required parent migrants to buy healthcare insurance for their first 10 years of their residency? Why did you vote against it?
The Honourable Michael Woodhouse.
Mr. Speaker, I have no ministerial responsibility for that decision.
No.
Question number 3.